Welcome back to the Deep Dive. It's really great to have you with us today. Our mission here, as always, is, well, it sounds simple, but it's actually pretty impactful. We take a stack of compelling sources, articles, research, insightful notes, and we carefully pull out the most important nuggets of knowledge. And the surprising insights, too, just for you. Think of us as your, maybe, intelligent shortcut to being truly well-informed. We're designed to cut through all that information overload and deliver thought-provoking facts, hopefully with enough humor to keep you hooked. Every deep dive we do is custom-tailored, designed specifically to help you understand what's most important in the material we explore together, shaping it right to your needs. And today, wow, we're plunging into a truly thought-provoking piece. It challenges one of our most sort of ingrained assumptions. It's called the ethics of growth. This comes to us from the Global Leadership Insights 2030 mini-series Inner Leadership, which is based on a study companion leadership special. The voice behind this particular text and the author is Lóng Tíng. He's identified as the voice behind Lóng Tíng Voices, and this is a production of Lóng Tíng Enterprises. Now, what's so fascinating about Lóng Tíng, for those maybe unfamiliar, is how he's described. He quite literally walks between ancient and emerging worlds. He's rooted in East Asian thought, yet totally present in our global manna. He builds these incredible bridges,
Yeah.
between West and East, tradition and modernity. The description is like a bamboo path leading toward a quiet mountain temple.
That's a great image.
It really is. And it's this unique perspective, I think, that lets him illuminate these really pressing challenges in contemporary global leadership in such a fresh way.
Absolutely. And that unique perspective is precisely why this deep dive feels so vital. Our mission today really is to explore how Lóng Tíng fundamentally challenges one of the most ingrained, often, unquestioned assumptions of our modern world, the very concept of growth itself. We're going to dissect how this piece takes growth from what many see as a purely technical thing, measured by spreadsheets, market share, quarterly earnings.
Right, the numbers.
Exactly. And transforms it into a profoundly ethical question. Lóng Tíng invites us, and by extension the organizations we work in or lead, to fundamentally redefine what success truly means, moving beyond just those simple quantitative metrics to something much deeper, a deeper understanding of purpose, integrity, and genuine impact.
And he doesn't ease us in, does he? Right off the bat, Lóng Tíng drops this one of those paradoxical riddles. It sounds deceptively simple, but it's incredibly profound. Would you still want to grow if no one was watching? Just let that sink in for a moment.
Yeah.
It forces an immediate gut check, doesn't it? Because if you strip away all the applause, the market reports, the investor expectations, what's actually left driving you?
Right. What's the core motivation?
Exactly. The insight here, I think, isn't just about authenticity. It's about identifying where our true energy often gets drained, chasing these external metrics that might be completely misaligned with our deeper purpose.
Yeah.
It's a powerful call to radically redefine ambition itself. It's huge. So, okay, let's unpack this conventional idea of growth first. It feels so everywhere, doesn't it?
Totally ubiquitous.
Lóng Tíng states right at the top that we speak of growth as if it were an unquestionable good.
Yeah.
And when you look around, you see that reflected constantly. We talk about more revenue, more users, more reach, all the time.
The standard metrics.
They're not just buzzwords, are they? They become the concrete examples, the benchmarks by which we universally accept and measure success in modern business. It's almost like an ingrained reflex, a pursuit. We measure our progress almost exclusively by these numbers, these quantitative things. And this often drives massive strategic decisions without us ever stopping to ask the deeper philosophical or ethical question behind it.
And that's really the crux of the problem, isn't it? This inherent bias, this constant push to always seek more. It's just so deeply embedded. It's like we've hardwired ourselves, to believe that if something isn't expanding, it's stagnating or even dying.
Yeah, that feels right. Stagnation is seen as failure.
Exactly. This constant chase for outward expansion, without asking why, has become the default setting for so many organizations. Think about a tech startup. Often, the primary success metric early on isn't profit or sustainability. It's user acquisition, rapid scaling, often burning cash just to grab market share.
Right. Growth at all costs.
Or consider large corporations constantly pushing into new markets, even if their existing markets are maybe underserved or struggling. This powerful undercurrent shapes our entire economic landscape, often leaving very little room for other ways of thinking about what real advancement or thriving looks like.
It dictates so much.
Everything from product development cycles to how we evaluate leaders, it's pervasive.
And what's particularly fascinating, I think, is how our everyday language subtly reinforces this whole unquestioned assumption. As Ting points out, terms like scaling, expanding, and capturing, they're not just descriptive words, they're incredibly prescriptive. They actually shape how we think about it.
That's a really key insight.
Yeah. When we talk about scaling up, we immediately picture massive increase, usually in just sheer numbers. It brings up this image of a straight line, always upward.
Linear.
As if simply adding more inputs will automatically lead to proportional positive outputs.
Absolutely. And the implications of using that kind of language are profound because it automatically prioritizes sheer quantity over, well, qualitative aspects.
Good point.
Are we growing better or just bigger? Are we creating more value or just more volume? Expanding suggests pushing boundaries, always outwards. Sometimes that comes at the cost of the internal structure, the foundational health of the thing.
Like stretching something too thin.
Precisely. And capturing that word implies a kind of conquest, securing new territories, new market share, rather than maybe fostering organic development or building deeper, more authentic connections within the places you already are.
Yeah, capturing sounds quite aggressive.
It frames growth as acquisition, almost like a zero-sum game, instead of maybe a healthy organic development that might prioritize quality or sustainability or even just internal well-being. And this isn't just a business thing. It's a pervasive societal and economic pressure. You see it everywhere.
Definitely.
From startup culture that glorifies that exponential curve to quarterly earnings reports demanding constant increases, everything reinforces this kind of reflexive pursuit of expansion. We are conditioned really to see growth as the main sign of vitality, often overlooking the internal costs or the true impact on people, communities, even the planet.
So the language we use becomes?
It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. It makes it incredibly difficult to even imagine alternative paths to success or well-being. It creates this kind of tunnel vision where the only way is forward and out.
So we've got this picture of a relentless drive for outward expansion, this reflex for more. It feels quite bleak, actually.
It can feel that way.
But Ting suggests there's a powerful moment, a reorientation that happens when we truly listen. When, as he puts it, after listening deeply, really listening, something begins to shift. What does that deep listening actually reveal? What does it uncover that the superficial chase for growth often just completely misses?
That's the absolute core of it. Because deep listening, it doesn't just surface new possibilities. It reveals the often ignored limits of unchecked growth. And crucially, the deeper meaning we might be missing.
Limits of meaning, okay.
Right. When we listen deeply, we start to hear not just the obvious possibilities that growth presents, the opportunities for innovation, reaching new customers, creating jobs, that exciting momentum. We also become attuned to its inherent momentum that natural drive organizations have to expand and evolve. But, as Ting points out so profoundly, this deep listening also reveals the often unacknowledged limits of growth. It forces us to face the reality that unlimited outward expansion can, paradoxically, lead to dilution, strain, and even breakdown.
Can you give an example of that?
Sure. Think of a customer support department that's expanding rapidly. If you just add more customers without carefully growing the internal training, the systems, the culture to support them.
Yeah, things fall apart.
Exactly. Adding more customers just thins out the quality of service. It strains the existing team, maybe to a breaking point. And maybe most importantly, deep listening unveils the deeper meaning behind the growth. It stops being just about the how do we achieve more and starts being about the why.
Why are we doing this?
Precisely. Why are we growing? What's the purpose of this expansion? What impact does it truly have on people, on the world? This fundamental insight is what transforms growth from being just a technical matter, a set of strategies and metrics, into an ethical one.
Ah, okay. That's the shift.
That's the shift. It compels us to ask these profound questions about our purpose, our values, the real-world implications of what we do. It forces us to consider not just efficiency and profit, but also integrity, responsibility, the well-being of everyone involved, employees, customers, communities.
All the stakeholder.
This change in perspective is revolutionary because it reorients our focus away from mere acquisition towards conscious development. It asks us to weigh not just the benefits of expanding, but its true costs and how it aligns with our deepest principles. It's about understanding that growth without direction or integrity isn't really progress, it's just
Mm.
uncontrolled sprawl.
Okay, so let's circle back to that quotient he started with. Would you still want to grow if no one was watching? It's incredibly sticky, isn't it?
It really is. Stays with you.
It just strips away all the external stuff, the validation, the market pressures,
Mm.
the need to keep up with the Joneses, so to speak. What emerges then about our fundamental motivations, both for us as individuals and for organizations? This is where LongTíng really pushes us to speculate about our very purpose, I think.
Mm.
What does this kind of deep introspection imply for how an organization defines its purpose? Does it really suggest a fundamental reevaluation of why we're doing what we're doing in the first place?
Oh, it absolutely does. That question forces us to consider, are we driven by intrinsic value? You know, the genuine desire to create something meaningful, to serve effectively, to cultivate a thriving internal environment? Or are we primarily just responding to external validation, public perception, the endless demand for more? This quotient implies that true sustainable growth ought to stem from an internal wellspring, an authentic commitment to purpose, rather than just chasing external applause or trying to outperform others.
Can they give an example?
Well, consider a nonprofit organization. If their main motivation for growing is just to secure more grant money or boost their impact numbers for the annual report,
Right tricks again.
rather than a genuine, deep commitment to the community they actually serve, then their purpose can easily become diluted, spread too thin. This kind of introspection really challenges a performance-driven mindset and champions a purpose-driven one instead.
Performance versus purpose.
Okay. It asks us to look inward and figure out what truly matters, prompting a shift from just chasing external metrics to actively cultivating internal health.
But who asks that question? I mean, realistically.
Well, that's the point. What kind of leader is brave enough to ask this in a quarterly board meeting? It takes immense courage to pivot away from what society expects, you know? To define success on your own terms, especially when those terms don't immediately translate into a higher stock price or some headline-grabbing market share gain.
Yeah, that's tough.
It suggests that if you removed all that external scaffolding of validation, an organization's true core purpose should still be strong enough to motivate its continued, maybe quieter growth.
Hmm.
It's really a call for radical authenticity in our ambitions.
And LongTíng's observation really cuts to the core of this issue. He says, in many organizations, expansion has become a reflex, where success is equated with more and strategy becomes synonymous with reach. That just perfectly describes the dominant mindset in so much of the business world, doesn't it? This relentless pursuit of outward expansion as the only measure of achievement.
It really does.
We see it everywhere. The aggressive chase for new markets, the constant push for higher sales figures, the obsession with user acquisition numbers in tech.
It's a race, basically.
Yeah, a race to cover more ground, touch more points, just become larger by any measure. The focus is almost entirely on that horizontal dimension of growth. How wide can we spread?
This is exactly where LongTíng introduces a pivotal question, a really challenging one he often poses to leaders who are grounding themselves in what he calls the steady companion mindset. He asks, what if success was not measured by how far you reach, but by how deep you remain?
Wow, okay. How deep you remain.
That single question just flips the conventional paradigm right on its head.
It really does.
It challenges the very definition of success that dominates our whole economic discourse. It suggests that true value might not be found in outward conquest or superficial expansion, but actually in the internal richness, the resilience, the integrity of an organization or an individual.
That feels revolutionary, actually,
Hmm.
especially compared to standard business thinking.
For many, it is a truly revolutionary thought. It contradicts decades of business school teaching focused primarily on market penetration and scale. So, okay, let's try and dig into this idea of deep remaining a bit more concretely. What does that actually look like?
Yeah, practically speaking.
Well, for a software company, maybe it means resisting the urge to expand into 5 new verticals all at once.
Okay.
And instead, committing to making their single core product so robust, so intuitively delightful, that their existing users become passionate advocates, not just satisfied customers.
So quality over quantity of features.
Exactly. This could involve an internal engineering shift, maybe moving away from prioritizing feature velocity, how quickly new features are shipped. towards prioritizing something like bug zero or user delight metrics. Metrics that go way beyond simple satisfaction surveys, focusing on the quality of the interaction, the ease of problem solving.
Okay, I can see that. What about a different type of business, like retail?
For a retail brand, deep remaining could be about fostering genuine community around their existing stores, maybe through hyper-local events, workshops, or personalized styling appointments.
Ah, so connecting more with current customers.
Rather than just opening more cookie-cutter locations all over the globe, it's about measuring the depth of engagement in the relationships you already have, not just counting the number of new ones you acquire.
That's such a powerful shift in mindset, isn't it? Because this really requires challenging the key performance indicators, the KPIs,
Yeah.
that normally drive corporate strategy.
Absolutely. It hits right at the core metrics.
We're so used to looking at things like new customer acquisition cost or market share percentage. But what you're suggesting and what LongTíng is advocating is maybe shifting to customer lifetime value or even something like an employee psychological safety index.
Exactly. Things that are inherently harder to quantify sometimes.
Right, less tangible. But they speak to true resilience and long-term health.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of courage does it take for leaders to actually pursue these less tangible, harder to measure forms of success? Because the pressure for the usual numbers must be immense.
Oh, it takes immense courage, no doubt about it. It requires leaders to essentially stand against the tide of conventional wisdom and often against short-term shareholder pressures.
Yeah, the quarterly report pressure.
Exactly. It means being willing to invest in areas that don't immediately show up as a neat bump in the quarterly revenue report, but instead, these investments build a more sustainable, meaningful, and resilient foundation for the long term.
So it's a longer game.
It's absolutely a longer game. It's about cultivating quality over quantity, substance over superficiality, and intrinsic health over just external appearance. For example, a company might choose to invest heavily in advanced training and well-being programs for their existing staff, rather than immediately hiring more people just to meet rising demand.
Okay.
The immediate impact on output might seem slower, but the long-term benefit in terms of employee retention, innovation, institutional knowledge, that stuff is immeasurable, really.
Or like that example of repairing products.
Oh, or consider a brand that decides to repair and refurbish its existing products, maybe even for free, rather than just pushing for new sales.
Wow.
That's a direct investment in customer loyalty and sustainability that absolutely prioritizes deep remaining over more reach. This fundamentally challenges that growth at all costs mentality that just permeates our economic landscape.
This shift in perspective is so powerful. And it brings us to a really beautiful, almost poetic image that LongTíng draws from ancient wisdom, the tea ceremony.
Ah, yes, the tea master.
He describes how a master spends decades repeating the same gesture, warming the cup, pouring the water, serving the tea. Now, on the surface, that seems like such a simple, repetitive act. For many of us in our fast-paced world, it might even look inefficient, unproductive maybe.
Easily dismissed.
But the crucial distinction, the thing highlighted in the source material, is why the master practices this way. It's not to improve the gesture, but to purify it.
That's the core idea, purification.
This is where the profound discipline and intention come in. It's not about making the gesture faster or more flamboyant or even technically perfect in some kind of performative sense. It's about something much, much deeper.
Right.
LongTíng clarifies what purification truly means here. To remove everything unnecessary until only presence remains. Imagine that level of dedication. It's about stripping away all the extra stuff, extraneous thoughts, ego, distractions, inefficiencies.
Getting down to the essence.
Until the act itself becomes this pure, unadulterated expression of being fully present. In that moment, with that cup, with that tea, with the person being served, it's about bringing your entire being into alignment with the task at hand, no matter how simple it seems. And finding profound meaning in that complete presence. It's like a relentless quest for the essential.
And this ancient analogy offers an incredibly insightful parallel to our modern concept of growth. It's really quite brilliant. LongTíng synthesizes it perfectly when he says this too is a form of growth, not outward, but inward.
Inward growth.
This is the essence of what he calls inner leadership, which is the focus of this whole mini-series, right? So, okay, if we take this profound lesson from the tea ceremony, What would inward growth actually look like for a modern organization?
Yeah, how does a company do that?
How can a company purify its processes, its mission, its culture, even its product offerings? Imagine an organization really looking at its internal workings, its endless meetings, its layers of bureaucracy, its convoluted decision-making paths, its often redundant reporting structures.
Sounds familiar.
Right. And asking, what is truly unnecessary here? How can we strip away the noise, the redundant steps, the distractions, to reveal the core essence of what we do and why we do it?
That's a really compelling challenge. Let's break that down a bit more. When we talk about purifying processes, what specific examples come to mind for an organization? How would that feel?
Okay. Purifying processes might involve really streamlining workflows, removing the bottlenecks that create frustration and inefficiency. And not just for the sake of speed, but maybe to create a smoother, more enjoyable experience for employees and customers too.
So human-centered efficiency.
Kind of. It could mean simplifying an overly complex approval system that just slows down innovation,
Yeah.
or automating repetitive tasks, not just to cut costs, but to free up human talent for more creative and meaningful work. It's about optimizing for flow and human experience, not just raw throughput.
Okay, that makes sense for processes. What about purifying a mission? That sounds quite abstract. In an era where companies are constantly adding new initiatives, expanding their scope, how do you purify a mission?
It is abstract but crucial. It could mean realigning all activities back to the fundamental purpose, the reason the organization exists, ensuring that every project, every initiative truly serves that raison d'etre, rather than just chasing fleeting trends or opportunities that dilute the focus.
Can you give me an example?
Sure. Think of a company that started with a really clear purpose, say, promoting sustainable fashion.
Right.
Purifying its mission might involve saying no to a potentially highly profitable but clearly unsustainable fast fashion line, even if it means sacrificing short-term revenue.
Wow, that takes discipline.
It takes immense discipline to prune away anything that doesn't align with the core identity.
And what about purifying culture or even product offerings? Those sound like enormous tasks, especially in big established organizations. How does an organization even identify, let alone remove, the unnecessary elements there?
You're right, they are enormous undertakings, but they are so critical for this inward growth. Purifying culture, well, that could involve actively fostering an environment of genuine trust, transparency, and psychological safety, removing the unnecessary elements like fear, unhealthy internal competition, or political maneuvering that just hinder authentic collaboration.
Getting rid of the toxic stuff.
Essentially, yes. This might lead to an organization that truly lives its stated values, rather than just displaying them on a poster or in a glossy annual report. It's about ensuring values are practiced, not just preached. And purifying product offerings, that's a classic challenge. It's about stripping away superfluous features, what people often call feature bloat.
Oh yeah, I know that feeling.
Right. Features that complicate the user experience without actually adding significant value. Think of software applications that become so overloaded with options, they're just overwhelming to use.
Makes you want to switch.
Exactly. Purification here means focusing ruthlessly on the core problem the product solves, making that experience exceptional rather than endlessly adding new, often buggy functionalities just for the sake of adding them. It's really about identifying and removing those unnecessary elements that detract from the core essence, whether they're outdated practices, misaligned objectives, or even toxic internal behaviors. By doing this, organizations ultimately foster deeper integrity, resilience, and a really profound sense of meaning, moving towards a form of growth that strengthens its very soul, not just its outward appearance.
So after all this purification, what does presence mean for an organization? What does it feel like?
An organization with presence? Well, it isn't just reacting constantly to market forces or competitor moves. It's consciously shaping its destiny from a place of deep integrity and awareness.
Proactive, not reactive.
Exactly. It's about being fully attuned to its original purpose, remaining deeply connected to its stakeholders, customers, employees, partners, truly listening to their needs and feedback. Not just collecting data, but listening. It's about being acutely aware of its internal health, its strengths, and also its vulnerabilities.
Self-aware.
Very self-aware. This allows it to act with real intentionality and clarity, rather than just being swept along by external pressures or the latest fad. It's about cultivating this powerful core that can sustain true, lasting impact. It becomes, in a way, a beacon of authentic purpose in a very noisy world.
It's truly incredible how Lóng Tíng, who, again, walks between ancient and emerging worlds, manages to bridge such a profound gap. He effectively uses this timeless wisdom from East Asian thought, like the tea ceremony example, to shed light on some of the most pressing challenges in contemporary global leadership. He takes something as seemingly abstract and quiet as a ritualistic practice and makes it profoundly relevant to the boardrooms and executive suites of today.
Yeah, it's not just theory.
Not at all. He offers not just a critique of how things are often done, but a viable, deeper, alternative path forward. Now, despite this profound reevaluation of growth, Lóng Tíng is also very practical, isn't he?
Yes, he's grounded.
He acknowledges that, of course, organizations must grow, but the essential question becomes, so it's not about stopping growth altogether or advocating for stagnation. It's about fundamentally changing how we approach it, turning it into a deliberate ethical journey rather than just a mindless sprint for more.
Exactly, and this is where the ethical imperatives really come sharply into focus. Lóng Tíng articulates two core ethical questions that every organization, every leader really must confront when they're considering their growth trajectory. The first is, does our growth deepen the quality of relationship or dissolve it?
Deepen or dissolve relationships.
Yay. And the second, equally potent question, does it expand our capacity to serve or thin our attention to the point that we no longer feel anything?
Expand capacity or thin attention. Wow, those are heavy questions.
They are. And they force a profound analysis of impact that goes way beyond the financial statements. Think about dissolving relationships. What might that actually look like in a rapidly growing company?
I can imagine. Maybe customer service becomes robotic.
That's a classic example. A booming tech company scales its customer base exponentially, but doesn't scale its support infrastructure or that personal touch proportionally. Suddenly, customer service becomes impersonal. Reduced to automated responses, generic chatbots, it loses the human empathy that maybe built the initial loyalty.
And internally?
Internally, departments can become silos. Employees feel disconnected from each other, maybe from leadership. That community spirit or camaraderie that defined the organization early on gets lost.
Communication breaks down.
Communication breaks down, trust erodes. Employees might start to feel like just cogs in an ever larger, more anonymous machine. This can quickly lead to high employee turnover and a jaded, unhappy customer base.
Okay, and the dangers of thinning attention. That sounds almost insidious. How does that manifest itself? And what are the long-term consequences if an organization loses its ability to feel anything, as he puts it?
The dangers of thinning attention are equally severe and often more subtle, maybe until it's too late. When an organization expands without sufficient internal capacity, or without a clear purpose, or without adequate resources to maintain quality, it risks losing connection to its original mission. It's raison d'etre.
Forgetting why it started.
Exactly. Leaders and employees can become so stretched across too many initiatives that they lose the ability to empathize with their customers or even with each other. This can obviously lead to reduced quality control as the focus shifts from excellence to just getting things out the door, mere output.
Like the food manufacturer example you mentioned earlier.
Right. Imagine a food manufacturer expanding so rapidly they overlook critical quality checks, leading to product recalls, massive reputational damage, and even worse, thinning attention can lead directly to ethical compromises. Well, the intense pressure for rapid expansion can simply override considerations of integrity or sustainability or social responsibility. Organizations might cut corners on labor practices, disregard environmental impact, neglect employee well-being, all in the relentless pursuit of more market share or hitting those quarterly numbers.
They've definitely seen stories like that.
We see it play out in countless cautionary tales where rapid scaling without deep internal grounding leads to spectacular failures. Not just financial failures, but failures of reputation, culture, and ultimate impact. It's like trying to fill a bucket riddled with holes. The more you pour in, the more you lose.
Yeah.
So we really invite you, the listener, to consider these crucial questions within your own spheres of influence, whether it's your teams, your personal projects, your professional roles. Does your pursuit of growth deepen your connections, or are they starting to fray? Are you genuinely expanding your capacity to serve meaningfully, or are you spreading yourself so thin that you're losing touch with what truly matters? Or worse, maybe becoming numb to it all.
It's such a powerful contrast to the often, heedless pursuit of expansion we see in so many contexts. And Lóng Tíng emphasizes this point even further by introducing this powerful, contrasting example from traditional communities.
The wisdom of listening to the land.
Exactly. He describes how, for them, Territory is only extended after a collective reflection. Are we still listening to the land we already hold? And this highlights their profound rationale. If the answer is no, they refrain from expanding because growing without listening would harm everything.
Wow. Harm everything.
It's not about a lack of ambition, is it?
Yeah.
It's an incredibly sophisticated understanding of sustainability, interdependence, integrity.
Deep wisdom there.
It's a deep reverence for what already exists and a recognition that just expanding unchecked carries inherent risks, not just to the new territory, but to the very foundation they already have. This wisdom is so striking in its simplicity and its depth. It stands in such stark contrast to so much of modern economic thought, which often prioritizes immediate gain over long-term, holistic well-being.
It almost feels counterintuitive to a standard Western business mindset, doesn't it?
Oh, it absolutely challenges the ingrained capitalistic impulse. Imagine if companies actually did the same.
What would that look like?
What would listening to the land we already hold mean for a modern corporation? Well, it would probably entail deeply understanding and nurturing their existing customer bases, investing in their satisfaction, their loyalty, rather than constantly just chasing new acquisitions.
Great, the depth again.
For a financial institution, maybe it means prioritizing the financial literacy and long-term security of their existing clients, rather than just pushing new loan products at them.
Okay.
For a manufacturing firm, it could mean optimizing their current production lines, maybe for reduced waste, improved employee safety, ensuring the health of their internal land before building a new factory somewhere else. It would mean prioritizing employee well-being and engagement, making sure the internal culture is robust and supportive before taking on major new external challenges.
Strengthening the core first. Exactly. Ensuring the strength and integrity of current market positions, optimizing operations, refining products and services for existing clients before attempting to conquer new ones. And how could harming everything manifest in a business context if they don't listen? We've talked about some of this.
Yeah, burnout.
Employee burnout, high turnover as staff get stretched beyond their limits trying to support rapid, unmanaged expansion. Loss of brand loyalty as product quality declines or customer service becomes impersonal and frustrating. Significant ethical breaches due to overextension where corners get cut and values are compromised in that frantic scramble for growth.
Like the fast fashion example.
Right. A global fast fashion brand expanding into new markets might face accusations of exploiting labor or polluting local environments if they haven't truly listened to the impact of their current operations first. This traditional wisdom suggests that real strength comes from a deep internal solidity, not just outward reach. It's about building a strong core that can genuinely support expansion, rather than just stretching until something breaks. It shifts the whole focus from external conquest to internal stewardship.
And this isn't just theoretical, is it? LóngTíng provides a really compelling anecdote, a real-world leadership example that perfectly embodies this philosophy.
Yes, the paused expansion.
He describes a specific leadership team's decision to pause an international expansion plan. And the why behind this decision is the critical insight here. It wasn't for financial reasons, which, let's face it, would be the typical, almost expected justification in our growth-obsessed world.
Right, that would be the easy explanation.
Instead, it was because they had a deep sensing, an intuition perhaps, that their internal culture was not yet mature enough to carry that expansion with integrity.
That takes real insight.
It reveals an incredibly sophisticated understanding of organizational health, prioritizing those intangible yet fundamental elements of their collective identity over an immediate external opportunity. They understood that their internal cohesion, their culture, was the actual foundation upon which any successful expansion would truly rest.
And their insight was, as you said, profound and also brutally honest. They actually stated, if we grow now, our values will not grow with us. We will stretch them thinner and thinner until nothing remains.
Wow. Until nothing remains.
That demonstrates an extraordinary commitment to their core identity, their principles. They recognize that rushing into expansion wouldn't just dilute their resources, it would dilute their very essence, their defining values.
Yeah.
It was a clear understanding that integrity isn't just a buzzword you put on a mission statement. It's a living, breathing aspect of their organizational being that needs nourishment and protection.
That takes courage.
In a world where grow or die is often the mantra, such a decision takes immense leadership courage and foresight to resist those external pressures to expand at all costs. So their conscious choice was to go deeper first, to strengthen purpose, practice, alignment, and only then take the next step outward.
Deeper first.
And LóngTíng's interpretation of this decision is just spot on. This is not slowness, it is precision.
Precision, not slowness. That's a key distinction.
It is. This example perfectly embodies that principle of precision over mere slowness and depth over reach. It highlights the remarkable courage and foresight needed for such a decision in a world obsessed with speed and scale. It takes true leadership to hit the brakes, to resist external pressures, and instead prioritize strengthening from within.
What are the long-term benefits then?
Oh, the significant long-term benefits of prioritizing internal integrity and cultural readiness before pursuing external expansion are immense. It ensures that when growth does happen, it's sustainable, it's meaningful, and it's aligned with the organization's deepest purpose. It creates a resilient and impactful entity that truly lives its values, which makes it far more capable of weathering future storms, right?
Makes sense.
This approach isn't about missing opportunities. It's about ensuring that when an opportunity is taken, the organization is truly ready to seize it with full integrity and capacity, which ultimately leads to far greater success and long-term vitality. It's growth with wisdom.
Which is why the question to carry forward from this source is so powerful. It's designed to provoke ongoing reflection for all of us, really, whether we're leading large teams or just navigating our own personal projects. What is the form of growth that would deepen your organization rather than dilute it? It forces a fundamentally different way of thinking about progress and success, doesn't it?
It really does. And LongTíng doesn't just leave us with a question. He offers concrete examples of what this truly ethical and deepening growth might actually look like, helping us reimagine what more could actually mean. He suggests, for instance, not more products, but perhaps deeper relationships with the communities you already serve.
Right, we touched on that.
This shifts the focus from sheer volume.
Yeah.
How many widgets can we push out? How many new customers can we acquire? To loyalty, understanding, and maybe even co-creation with existing stakeholders.
Co-creation.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's about cultivating richer, more meaningful connections, anticipating needs, truly partnering with those who are already invested in what you do. Instead of constantly chasing new customers, you solidify and enrich the bonds with your current ones, transforming them into advocates, true partners, generating that invaluable word of mouth.
That builds a stronger foundation.
Exactly. A foundation of trust and resilience that superficial expansion can never really achieve. It's about a qualitative enhancement of existing connections rather than just a quantitative increase in transactions.
Okay, that makes perfect sense for, say, a business-to-consumer model or maybe a community organization. But what about the other side of that coin he mentions? Not new markets, but renewed practices. What does that practically look like for an organization, especially one that might feel like it's struggling to keep up with competitive pressures?
That's a crucial point because renewed practices isn't about standing still at all. It's about dynamic internal evolution. It could entail revisiting the founding principles, reminding everyone of the initial passion and vision that launched the organization in the first place,
Going back to the roots.
and then intentionally designing systems and processes that actually reflect those principles in daily work. For example, a tech company originally founded on principles of, say, open source collaboration might find its practices have become closed and hierarchical over time due to rapid scaling.
Right, happens all the time.
Renewing practices in that case would mean actively decentralizing decision-making, fostering transparent communication again, aligning daily operations with that original purpose. It might mean optimizing internal workflows not just for efficiency, but for employee well-being and a sense of shared purpose, ensuring that daily tasks align with the larger mission.
Making the work meaningful again.
Exactly. It's about re-engaging with that initial passion, ensuring that the work itself remains meaningful and vibrant for everyone involved. This approach ensures alignment with core values. It prevents the organization from just drifting away from its ethical compass in the relentless pursuit of expansion. It's about self-correction and intentional growth from within, even when external pressures are high.
So it's not just about what you produce or where you sell it, but fundamentally how you operate, how you engage your people, and why you even exist in the first place.
Precisely.
But how do you measure this deeper success, these renewed practices, especially when, the board or investors still want to see those familiar growth metrics?
That's where the leadership courage comes in again, isn't it? You have to develop alternative metrics, metrics that speak to qualitative growth.
Like what?
For deeper relationships, you might look seriously at customer lifetime value, referral rates, maybe net promoter score, NPS, but coupled with really digging into the qualitative feedback and testimonials, or even tracking the growth of genuine online communities around your brand, not just counting followers, but measuring engagement.
All right. And for renewed practices.
There, you'd track metrics like employee retention, internal innovation rates, employee engagement scores, maybe those psychological safety indices we mentioned, or perhaps track the speed and quality of internal decision-making processes. It requires a definite shift from purely external financial indicators to a more balanced scorecard that includes internal health and stakeholder well-being.
A holistic view.
A holistic view. This approach allows an organization to align its growth with its original mission instead of just being swayed by external pressures or fleeting trends. It's about building a solid, meaningful core that then radiates outward with integrity, rather than simply stretching outward without a strong center. It's a holistic view of health, where growth becomes a natural outcome of internal strength and clarity, which ultimately often leads to more sustainable and authentic external success anyway.
And it all ties together so beautifully in LongTíng's ultimate definition of ethical growth, which is truly profound, I think. If growth becomes a way of honoring what already exists rather than escaping it, then it becomes ethical.
That statement perfectly encapsulates the entire philosophy we've been discussing. It just reframes everything. It redefines growth from being this outward-focused ambition, often driven by a desire to escape perceived limitations or competitive pressures, or just chase external validation.
Right, running away from something.
To becoming an inward-focused act of stewardship, it becomes an act of reverence, really. Respect for what is already established and valuable within an organization. Its core purpose, its existing relationships, its foundational values, its people, its processes, even its history and legacy.
Honoring what's already there.
Exactly. This perspective inherently encourages long-term sustainability because it prioritizes the health and integrity of the current ecosystem. It fosters genuine impact because it ensures that any expansion is purposeful and rooted in authenticity rather than being superficial. And ultimately, it cultivates a more profound sense of purpose because every step of growth is consciously aligned with honoring and deepening what truly matters. It's about growing from a place of strength and gratitude for what you have, rather than from a deficit mentality of always needing more just to feel complete or successful. It's a reorientation from a mindset of scarcity to one of abundance, grounded in reality.
What a truly transformative way to think about something so fundamental, so ingrained in our modern world. We've taken a deep dive today into the profound and really perspective-shifting ideas that LongTíng offers, moving from viewing growth purely as this technical or quantitative expansion to understanding it as an ethical journey, a journey of deepening, honoring, and even inward purification. It seems clear that true success, as he presents it, might indeed be measured much more by depth, not just by reach.
And LongTíng leaves us with such a beautiful, poetic closing thought, a powerful call to action and contemplation that I really hope you, our listeners, carry with you beyond this deep dive. Grow gently and only where the roots can follow.
Grow gently and only where the roots can follow. That's lovely.
So as you reflect on this, maybe consider what those roots represent for you personally. Are they your core values, your organization's foundational purpose, your existing relationships, personal or professional, your core skills and competencies? How might you consciously ensure that your own pursuits of growth, whether it's in your career, your personal projects, your teams, allow these crucial roots to actually follow along and strengthen, rather than being stretched too thin or maybe even broken? This idea invites us to approach expansion with wisdom, patience, and a deep respect for our foundations, ensuring that our growth enriches rather than depletes what truly matters most.
That's definitely a powerful thought to chew on long after our deep dive ends. We really encourage you to continue reflecting on this concept of ethical growth in your own lives, your careers, your organizations. It's certainly a journey of continuous learning, and we're so glad you joined us for this part of it today. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, keep listening deeply.